Hello. Good morning, everyone. Whew, hope everyone's having a good one. I don't know why, but today I woke up pretty exhausted. Got a mix of being very tired and breakfast just feeling kind of off, so we'll see what's up. So today's going to be a pretty chill day where we're just going to do like campaign creation stuff. I'm probably not going to talk a lot, but you'll at least watch me writing notes and I guess in a way stealing pictures from people because it's all for personal like games. I don't plan on basically gonna Google image search and be like, oh, this one looks cool, and maybe I'll do a bit of like, who made this? That way, I'm at least attributing them, saying who it is. Um, if that being that said, if any of you are like an artist or anything that it's like you see that I'm using your work and you're like, hey, uh, don't want that to happen or anything like that, you just let me know, like message me, and we'll figure out what we're whether it's like I download the video, like remove it, cut out that section, and then like put it back in or something like that, like whatever works. And I just don't want to cause any troubles with peeps and stuff. It's your stuff. I don't want to be messing with it. And as you can see, we're on tabletop audio. As I've explained previously, I know those of you who've seen this, like you kind of know already, and you're like, okay, this is tabletop audio stuff, whatever. Um, just tabletop audio does music. It's free. It's background stuff. They're all 10-minute ambiance kind of things. And you can do it on your Amazon Alexa. You can do it on Google Assistant. They have a sound pad, and they've got ways that you can uh, donate via either Patreon or through PayPal. And it's just, good time. If you're doing it for no money, just proper attribution when you do it on a video or anything like that, you can use it for your games, no prob. If you're gonna be making money off of it, you don't need to pay necessarily until it's what you've decided is like this is enough money that I need to be doing a licensing fee or anything. And I'm gonna be in the streaming chat channel, voice chat channel. So if anybody wants to hang out, just go ahead and go to the Discord, and you can like pop in, and we'll just hang out and talk and stuff while we're working on campaign stuff. So we're gonna start with just looking at what I've got on charts and some of my world animal stuff. Um, think right now because I'm doing a couple games with a couple people, and I've gotten everything prepped for one person, but I've got a couple others that I haven't fully done everything for yet. There's a lot of stuff that I'm missing or just haven't like built all the way up yet. So I think I'm just gonna work on those things. We'll start, I think, with Aberdeen because I think Aberdeen is the one I haven't updated the latest yet. Um, so everybody knows I should tell you what these two websites are. This is World Anvil. You get to, as a DM, you can come here and then create like your entire world and all that stuff. There's a subscription fee kind of basis thing that goes on with it, but it's uh, it's very much about you showing your stuff off and showing it to other people. So um, you pick whatever status you're going to be, and you do a subscription, and just kind of like figure out whatever works best for you so you can have your own thing. And then once you've built that out, you start building your campaign here, and you can have players join in, and you can have like sessions prepped, things like that, where you guys like do the session and do like schedule a new session, type in all the information, and then like schedule it, and people can join in. My understanding is, I think it's supposed to be kind of like a meeting site where you're like, I'm a DM and this is what I'm doing. And then people show up and they look and they're like, oh yeah, I would like that, things like that. And then you can also do it with your friends. And there's also just a lot of working together sort of thing. And you just like click World Anvil, and there's a section where they just show you like the news, and it's like, boom, daily featured article. Garium's sword by someone named Sam Sarah TG, and just that's it. Like they literally will just show people's articles and things, and kind of like throw people ideas and stuff. I think it's a really good useful resource for DMs just to kind of like read, get an idea about what's going on, and like keep moving forward. Um, and it just gives you like inspiration and different ideas and things to try out. So that's World Anvil, and then Chartopia, which is the second thing that I'm using, is a website that literally you can just create charts. And you can see I have a ton of charts here. They're basically all subcharts to be put into one massive Uber chart, which I've called, I think, monsters and random session. So, like, to give you an example, I grabbed a whole bunch of these chart ideas from different books, a whole bunch of different books that I own and have built from. So stuff like Index Card RPG and Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I think it's a beta called Shadow Dark. Um, that I just grabbed all that stuff, put it all into kind of like a massive set of charts, and so now I'm able to go like, boom, roll a random session, and then I have a whole bunch of information. So I've got a location, I've got a goal, I've got an obstacle. So this is what the party wants to do. This is where everything's going down, and this is the problem the party has to deal with. Um, and then I have three example creature kind of things that I've rolled for, which is these are supposed to be mostly creatures, but I took from the DMG. I took from the I think it was the DMG, or it was Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Yeah, it was Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I took the random encounter thing. So it's not always a creature that gets shown up, but I can still use that by making, because I've put in the room difficulty, I can use this stuff and like remove all the NPC stuff, like weapons and all that kind of stuff. But I can give this idea of you walk into this room and a sudden extreme heat just kind of crashes into the room, make everybody take extreme heat checks, and if I need to know the rules, I just click the link, and because I got it all from D&D Beyond, it takes me to my D&D Beyond site, and boom, I have the extreme heat rules, and I can read them, figure out what's going on, and like it's just perfect. Um, you'll see I have room difficulty written down. That's a concept from Index Card RPG, which is that everything in the room just has the same like AC basically. And then if you have a guy who's like more powerful or less powerful, you just make them easier hard, which is like a +3 or -3. So literally you could just say like everything in this room is DC like 13, but this guy is hard, so he's like 16 to hit and 16 to like block against in DCs and all that. But as a result, I have three separate monsters that I can now like three separate ideas slash creatures I can now look at and utilize. And if I need more, I can always like do more just to get like maybe this is find a way off a primitive backwater planet. All of this doesn't have to be one entire kind of like world section. Uh, because this information we can use if we want to be really creative, kind of like what Psychonauts did when it got to near the end of the game. Like at the early beginning, they kind of show you how like each individual person has a mind that you can jump inside of and do stuff in their world, and then like you can do a similar thing to Psychonauts because at the end they have things like you go inside a guy with Napoleon Complex's head and fight a giant massive battle, and so you would do something like make this just one room inside of a dungeon, and so it's this massive series of like almost a maze of hallways, and you're brought like into like a game or something like that, like you get digitized. And I know that sounds very like sci-fi for a fantasy game, but you can change whatever you need to do to make something happen. You don't this idea of going through a derelict space hulk in order to get off of the backwater planet you're on can be just the same thing as you go inside of a giant massive ship in the hopes of finding a way off of the island you're stuck on. Easily done, and that ends up being your session for the day. Or you can make it like a series of rooms like the whole point is it's this giant like illusion maze sort of thing, and each time you're kind of like there's a new goal and something you have to do. Mm. But yeah, you can use those and kind of like have a bunch of fun with all this. Um, and basically, the way that CR equals PL means is the CR of the creature is going to about equal the player level, and that just means that their AC is like 10 plus player level, their attack bonus is equal to the player level, that kind of stuff like that. And that doesn't like entirely work 100% of the time, obviously, because if the player level is like 20, the CR being 20 means like okay, so these creatures never miss, which isn't quite what you're looking for. But it's a quick little like fast and loose, like how do we connect things? And I'm sure that I'm not fully explaining the index card RPG properly in this moment because I just kind of like have it as a vague reference point of me just keep doing stuff because I'm more interested in I take the CR equal to the PL, and so bam, I have giant spiders, and instead of just having a normal like fight with them, let's say the player level is like 2, I'm going to make a rule of like their armor class is 12 instead for whatever reason, or maybe I'll keep it 14. You know, it's all like what I want to do. But what I've started doing is I use the challenge. I'm going to see how it works, but I'm going to use the challenge rating of the creature. Of the creature that it's supposed to be and multiply that by 10 to find out how many hit points till the creature has decided this is no longer worth it. Um, which, for those of you thinking about it, like we're talking about a level 2 character fighting a CL2 creature, that would be 20 hit points worth of HP. That's most of the spider's hit points. But it gives an idea for when the spider has its rule of like, I need to change tactics. Something is seriously off and wrong. Um, and you know, giant spider is just one example. I plan on using kind of like all of the charts because I'm not positive on exactly what I want to do, but I like the idea of you could meet like is a water weird a good example? Let's say you meet like a water weird, which is a challenge rating of 3 at first level, and after like 10 hit points, it just like leaves or tries something different or something like really out there. I want to give the I'm thinking about trying to give the party the ability to at level like 1, 2, or 3 fight some like big heavy hitters. Like a Sararak is an individual, but imagine like liches in general, and it's not that the lich can't defeat them; it's that the lich is like this is taking too long, or this is already more frustrating than it's worth. I'm just going to leave. You know, they give the enemies kind of like a goal of why would I stay here, and kind of like work towards something like. But anyway, so we're on Aberdeen. Um, you can have protagonists, supporting cast, all that stuff. Um, what are my Aberdeen NPCs? Greylord, Tom Haverford. These guys are all not in Aberdeen. These are all from. I'll have to change this around because these guys are not in Aberdeen. These guys are in my other campaign. Um, oh, did I not create? Okay, that might be it. I must have accidentally created them inside of here, which is going to be interesting to try to fix later. But yeah, I have nothing for Aberdeen. So let's just start building Aberdeen up. I already know the first guy I want to talk about, which is going to be Lawbringer General Busey. So I'm gonna Busey, Lawbringer General. Actually, do I have a note? I would know it would be character article. No, I don't have Lawbringer General Busey. So, do I have Busey still in? Let's see. What is this section? Streaming, uploading. Okay, that's from other older stuff. Dropbox, RPG, RPG, RPG. Setting in here is town. I think it was all in town red. Yeah, Aberdeen. Um, yeah, I've got portraits of a bunch of different characters. Which one? Yeah, that's a portrait. That's his picture. So I saw this picture of Zombie Busey and was like, yes, this guy is definitely the general of the Lawbringers. So Lawbringer General Busey is um, angry, he's hangry because he's hungry and wrong button. Hangry. Um, vile, vicious, I think. Vicious looking, and I don't ever want him to touch you, so um, gives big stay away vibes. And so what the way that Aberdeen works is Aberdeen is a giant city that is based off of like Judge Dredd in a sort of way. Hmm. It has a lot of differences to Judge Dredd. Like it's not like a full like I tried to make Judge Dredd but fantasy. But there is a lot of like the Lawbringers are essentially the judges. They have no like real oversight in quotes. They just kind of do whatever they're going to do. But they're not in charge. The people who are in charge of Aberdeen are a magocracy of just powerful wizards who sit there and are like, we're in charge because we have magic and power and nobody can stop us. And it's like, okay, fair. You can't beat him. Can't do anything about it. So no character sheet, nothing like that. We don't need to make that neutral party visible. We'll make him visible. People need to know about this guy. Anyway, and so that I build that and then click save changes, and boom, I've got Lawbringer General Busey. Maybe I'll edit it so that his name is just Lawbringer General Busey. Or no, I'll put a comma at the end of his name. That way people kind of like makes more sense. God, that's a good face. I don't even know where that image came from, really, other than like online. If you look up like zombie Gary Busey, let's see. I have to move all those characters at some point. Um, so we're not all of them. Kraylor is in here, right? Kraylor is from here. Okay, must be a different Tom Haverford because I read. Oh, right, right. Okay, I remember who these characters are now. Okay, man, takes you a minute. Sometimes to remember everything going on. So I have Kraylor, I have Yara. Um, that means there's a couple more people, but I don't remember the names, so I can go through my characters, and they're all Ganassi. So there's Flame, there's Hubert, Hubert, Gerlon. Um, yeah, they're all in the upper city. Sarvin, Delamascus, very cool. So now I'm just gonna start building them. Um, who was Hugh? I think he's the fighter team. It's just a Warlock 4, Barbarian 2. Yeah, that right. That's right. Is not on this list? No, not yet. So Hubert, um, big. What's the word for? I guess gladiatorial. Hello, large. Hmm, Danger Haver. Uh, how's it going? Do-do-do-do. Angry. I think frustrated is a good term because he always wants to fight. I'm doing all right. We're just talking about D&D and just kind of building stuff up. We're just making character stuff. He'll be hidden because he's not like an important character. People don't necessarily know about him a bunch. Um, he's a generic NPC. I mean, technically he's a competitor, I guess. We're going with generic NPC though. And then we're gonna figure out the locations. Um, yeah, making stuff in D&D is always fun. So right now I'm building off of got a campaign called Aberdeen, and I'm just trying to get all of my notes and stuff kind of like written into just the whole thing. I've got I started with Busey, and now I'm just moving up and going through NPCs that I've got that are all in Aberdeen. Um, Erlon, and then I'll like fill them out. Aberdeen is like so the way Aberdeen works is it's like Judge Dredd, but with a few differences. One is it's a mageocracy, so like mages are at the top of everything, and mages have created the equivalent of like corporations to kind of hold everything together. So think a little bit of RoboCop vibes on that end, and then the Lawbringers are the people who basically like handle everything and do the day to day of like keeping the city safe. But Lawbringers don't really have a. Their code is not to like protect everybody; it's to do their best, just to live day to day. Because Aberdeen is in it's kind of a bad situation. What happened was a long time ago, very long time ago, a couple of guys got into a fight, and that resulted in the vague creation of like two giant nation city states. One is the Paladins of Doten Grok, and that is a series of paladins who are like all monsters are evil. Everything that is evil must be destroyed, and they listen to their leader, which is a paladin. He's the head of the Paladins of Doten Grok. He's been alive for something like 10,000 years due to some kind of a magic that keeps him like ever sustained, and he fights against Dar Kanor, and Dar Kanor is the Lord of the Darklands and the Lord of the city of Aberdeen. Um, but while the Lord of Doten Grok is very big and showy and open, and like you know it's him, and you know he's doing things, and he's done things which are like this is like full on super crazy magics. So like he has worked with merchant, like a full-on merchant class nation, and they helped him create like a radiant bomb, which was the equivalent of like a nuke. And they tried launching it at Aberdeen, and nothing happened. Like it didn't work at all. And so Aberdeen sits and does its thing. What happened with the the other guy, Darkanor, nobody knows exactly what happened. But the story goes that he had gotten to the final keep of the Paladins of Doten Grok, um, and as he reached that point, he got inside of their keep and started causing whatever chaos he was causing, and then he just stopped. And nobody knows why he stopped, but he stopped fighting and he just took all of his forces and went to the most remote part of the western section of the continent, basically, and built a city right then and there. And the way he was able to do this is he has a special gauntlet that gives him like powers beyond imagining, and the opposing paladin has another gauntlet that is the same, and so that's why they're like in this constant tug of war with each other. But then Darkanor, after making the city and providing some like baseline guidelines and some rules as to how things go, he basically disappeared. He almost never shows up, and no one has seen Darkanor in maybe not essentially in living memory, but supposedly there's like you hear about people meeting Darkanor, but that's like rumors, and no one has any like proof of it other than saying, listening to a guy say, "I totally met him." And so this giant magocracy got built up because mages are able to, they create all the magic items, they do the thing, and it's a kind of like safe land. So they were able to build up really, really high, and now they're basically in charge of everything, and they're the official like rulers of the city in basically everything except name. Like everybody agrees, like they basically run everything, but no one will ever openly say they are the ruler of the city, and the reason why is because if you do that, you basically instantly die. The something about the city like comes in on you magically and like rips you apart, and so people are like, Darkanor is definitely the ruler of the city, and we don't question that. But we're allowed to basically do whatever we want. And the city is built off of it's an ever expanding upward and downward city because one of Darkanor's rules was you cannot go past a certain point. And so there is a massive set of black pyramids that float in the sky, one pointed up and the other pointed down on top of each other. And that is essentially like the confines of where you're allowed to work in the city. It's something like a few days across. And the people have built towers up to the pyramids and then up above the pyramids, so that's the giant pillars from Judge Dredd, and then the towers just go up and up and up, not quite infinitely, but people are always building up to try to reach even higher, and they're also digging straight down to go deeper and deeper down. Hello, fledgling gamer. Nice to meet you. How are you doing today? And so at the top is where all the wizards are, as well as the Aarakocra and the Goliaths, and anybody who can basically handle hard work and also being at like different heights and things like that. Just being able to handle harsh temperature and being able to handle like, low atmospheric pressure, things like that. Like the not quite low atmospheric pressure, but like less oxygen, all that kind of stuff. Playing Way Mercy Monk and have a conundrum. Very, very cool. What's the conundrum? Maybe we can help out. And then as you go deeper and deeper below, that's where things like the dwarves and all the other races kind of like more and more congregate, and it gets poorer and poorer as the districts go down until you reach the expansion zone, which is nobody there is quite poor, but it's extraordinarily dangerous. So you're always working and always on edge and just trying to like live your life sort of thing. And the Lawbringers are like, instead of a normal like around 10 to 20% of the populace sort of thing where they're like useful and helpful and all that, they're basically just a bunch of mercenaries who would count for like 3% of the entire city, and it's more like they are the biggest gang in the city than they are like an actual like guard. And so one of my PCs is playing in a zone where they have joined up with a carnival of Ganassi who are constantly trying to just make money and just do their thing where they're like, we're Ganassi, fire, water, earth, air, and they just like, give everyone that kind of super being helpful kind of thing. Thank you, Phalar04, for the follow. But yeah, so Garelon's one of them. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always cool with seeing homebrew content, things like that. It's how do you want to share it to be careful, because I don't I don't want to like accidentally just show your stuff on if you're not cool with that. Whatever is the best sort of thing. Are links allowed? It's I guess links would have to be allowed. I go ahead if you can DM it to me. Go ahead and do that, because I know doing it by stream chat can kind of be a little off. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Google Docs. Okay. Um, First things first is it says it's a Google Doc. So we're gonna. I'm really glad I have it on my separate page. I'm just putting it up on a different section of a different computer. Da, da, da. Okay, cool. Hunter's Blood. So let me really quick. I've got that up. Okay, cool, cool, yeah. And then Fledgling Gamer, on the one hand, you can take one level in Fighter and become proficient with the martial weapons, so you can have a katana be a monk weapon, and have access to blind fighting with 3 ASI left on the monk. That's a fair idea. Does it... Oh yeah, because you don't have proficiency unless you're the Way of the Kensai monk, right? Um, let's see, go to the chat on here, and boom, yeah. So we got this Google Doc up. Hunter's Blood 5e subclass. First level subclass. What's your is this a class with subclass or is this a ranger subclass? Oh, it's for sorcerer. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Um Hunter's Magic, innate link to nature has granted you power while altering it. When you gain a new sorcerer cantrip spell, you can choose the new spell from the druid or sorcerer spell list. Okay, so you're going druid. So otherwise obey all the restrictions. You learn Hunter's Mark, a solid spell, so it counts as a sorcerer spell for you, but doesn't count against the number of spells you know when you cast it. The additional damage applies to your spells as well, very powerful. Um, you can choose to cast Hunter's Mark by consuming a sorcery point instead of a spell slot. The spell doesn't require concentration when you do so. And is that, let me go ahead and check a quick thing on Hunter's Mark, because you know, I'm at that point where I swear I remember everything, but never do. So it's always better just to check and be like, okay, what does it do again? Is Hunter's Mark, can it be... Yeah, higher levels is going to be more concentration. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then you get an extra d6. So extra d6, all that, and then when you learn the spell, it doesn't count as a sorcerer spell when you cast it. Additional damage applies to your spells as well. You reach second level, you can choose to cast it by consuming the sorcery point. At first level, the way your ancestors lied in wait for prey manifests in your magic. You can add your charisma modifier to initiative checks and gain proficiency in stealth and nature. Ooh, that's pretty neat. Hmm. Sounds like this is a heavy charisma con build then. Because your dex is slowly being taken out of the equation on this. And it is a concentration on Hunter's Mark. That's a little, a little limiting in that you'll need to keep concentration on Hunter's Mark for that d6 of damage. But I suppose you can always swap spells whenever you need. Fledgling Gamer, not to jump too much, Phalar, I just want to make sure I'm getting to everyone. Fledgling Gamer says, on the other hand, you can take 2 levels into Ranger and 1 level into Rogue to gain 3 additional expertise and still have access to blind fighting and martial weapon proficiencies with Hunter's Mark, Longstrider, and Sneak Attack. Couldn't use a longsword because it isn't finesse, but could make a whip a monk weapon. Hunter's Mark is also a bonus action, and monks already use bonus action a lot. Is quick question. On the one hand, I can trade it is, let me just check the thing on monks. Monk, 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 monk. Way of Mercy. Or no, it's up here. Martial arts is, where is it? Hmm. Right, right, right. Let's monk weapon. So I think my first question is: are you just wanting to use a better, like a different sword, as like a martial weapon thing? Because it looks like monk weapons are only the ones given unless you take the specific feats of, unless you take the optional class features of things. So have you taken, I guess, dedicated weapon? Um, I'm guessing you're going to use dedicated weapon. Is that correct? Fledgling gamer, just to make sure that you can use these weapons as monk weapons. Because I better go in Kensai, but you're already Path of Mercy, so what does the Way of Mercy entail? Yeah, expertise or AS. I get that. Yeah. Um, I haven't fully read through it all yet, Phalar, but I'm on the way. I do like the idea of a sorcerer who's using like druidic and ranger magic, though. It sounds like it could be really cool. Um, I guess there's a couple questions that come down to it. Is one, ASIs are really powerful, especially because basically as a monk, what you're going to be able to do is if you put all your ASIs into Dex, you're going to be able to do your like +5 to hit, +5 damage on everything, and then just getting the fighter thing of that one weapon is going to be whatever weapon you're using, like 1d8 or 1d10 plus the 5, um, or yeah, whip or anything like that plus the 5, and then your AC is going to like top out at 20, which is going to be nice. On the other hand, have you been using a ton of skills? Like, is it a is this a game where you're constantly using skills? Because both builds are completely viable. It's just a question of like what is going to give you the most fun and what's the most interesting and how do you want your character to be. One can allow for a lot more feats and a lot more like making yourself kind of a combat monster and really get into it with other people, which is a lot of fun. But the other one can allow you to be like, I don't trust this guy. We shouldn't be doing with his thing, and or like somebody's on the ground and dying. It's like, okay, let me give them more expertise. Yeah, you've already got perception and medicine, so you already have like I notice everything and I can like heal people. The question is there in that case like is there another skill monkey on your team? Not to be like any bit negative about it, but like is there somebody who's like really good at skills? Um, are you going for how much of this is I want to be the star and how much of this is I want to be a good supporting cast member? Because if you're going to grab skills and get expertise and then that somebody else already has expertise, it might be it's good to be doubled up, but it also might be kind of a well, why do we have both sort of thing, as opposed to in combat, you can do that constant like I'm just going to keep fighting and doing my job. It really depends on like what your build and what the build of the rest of the party is, um, and are you trying to shore up weaknesses or are you trying to like focus your strengths really hard? And I think the real question is, what do you think will have the most fun for you and everybody at the table? In my personal opinion, because if I can get the table to have a lot of fun, that's great for me. And if I can make sure that I'm at least having the minimal amount of fun with the character that I'm doing, then it's perfect. Like I get a bunch of fun, and then I get a bunch of fun for the rest of the team, and everybody's working together and they're happy. It's wonderful. Um, but as far as straight stats go, I would say if you're just looking at it like an RPG combat game thing, um, I would say that the every game is fun until you can't win the fight. You know what I mean? Like that sounds awful, but like there are video games that are RPGs where you can do a very like I have like 7 different skills thing, but then you can't progress in the story because you don't have enough strength and power to do that, and that's always kind of frustrating from a computer gaming method. It's D&D, so it's a lot more open, but it really depends on like who your DM is and who your players are and everything, so that you guys can make the best kind of game you can. Baylier04, we're coming right back to working on this now. And then I will go back to the chat to check again, because Fledgling Gamer just said a thing. Hunter's Patience. I definitely like Charisma to Initiative. No, almost, I think I don't know of anything that changes Initiative. Um, Natural Camouflage. Once per turn, you spend 2 sorcery points to hide without requiring any action whatsoever. That's kind of cool. And while you are hidden from a creature, they can't hear any verbal components you provide unless you want them to. That's pretty cool. Uh, yeah, with having stealth and that can make you very fun. It makes it so you don't have to take the no voice thing, but that's fine because it still works. 14th level, you gain the following benefit of Mistchild. You can hide when only lightly obscured and add twice your. So this is like a rogue, ranger, kind of druid kind of build. Wanderer's Gift, plus 10 to movement speed, can ignore difficult terrain. Um, Natural Spirit, you can expend 5 points to become an entity of nature. And for 1 minute, you can see through obscuring foliage, fog, smoke, as if you were unobscured for up to 60 feet. You can gain immunity to acid and poison, as well as the poison condition. And you can understand and communicate with beasts and plants as you share a language. That's a pretty cool build. What are some of the... I feel that you might be a little plus 10 movement speed, so you can get up to like 40 or 50. You can hide and add twice your proficiency, so you gain expertise at 14th level. That might be... I think that's pretty strong. But it's not that strong, like I think. But it's definitely in that realm of like, we can't see him and he keeps hitting us from the trees. Druid spells... Mold Earth. I mean, it's not much more powerful than having invisibility. In all honesty, let's just get dropped down to what's the real stuff you're going to throw down. Let's say Storm of Vengeance. D6, 10d6, Tsunami. I think it could be pretty cool. That it sounds like a very neat idea. I'm unfortunately not like a super class focused person. I mostly just try to build like what I think is going to be fun for me, and then I rely on guides and things to try to like get me towards that. But I do like the idea, I think, of a sorcerer whose whole thing is like, I'm basically super good at hiding, and then I throw out a big like this is the way I would build this character is I would go high charisma, high constitution. I would try for mediocre dexterity so I can get my stealth on, and I would stealth every chance I got, and then I would cast a concentration-based spell that is like an AoE giant fire effect or something like that, just something to get out in the field, and then I just like hide and let it do its business or all around everybody. Um, sounds cool. It sounds Hunter's Mark gets lost a bit in that though. Then I would say that Hunter's Mark is cool to have as a spell, but because it's concentration, you have a real question of what are you going to do with your because while my first thought is to hide and then use a concentration spell to cause damage, that means that I don't have a lot of reason to be using my hunter's magic after the first few levels. And I don't know how much D&D is built on. I don't think that's I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's definitely a part of my kit is a little like lost because I have another thing. But Phalar, if you've got ideas and all that kind of stuff, like tell me if I'm getting kind of like what the class is supposed to be about, or if I'm just completely. And then meanwhile, I'm gonna switch over to Fledgling Gamer again. Fledgling Gamer's character is a human variant, started with prodigy, then got skill expert and skilled. Already has 18 dex and 18 wisdom. That's nice. Only 8 charisma. Proficiency in every skill except religion, sleight of hand, and charisma skills. Very, very powerful. Dr. Finney's Blackwell, focusing on being a prodigy, thinking 1 point into fighter might be best. 3 points into fighter going into battlemaster could be fun too because you have the action surge, commanding presence, ambush, and tactical assessment moves. Yeah, it really depends on what you want to do at that point because you're already at 18 dex, you're already at 18 wisdom. Um, you say but 8 charisma, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Your build isn't about your charisma necessarily. You're just one of those who's like, I don't get along with people. Um, you'd have a few ASIs, so you could pump your dex and whiz up, get to 20 on both of those, and then you'd be high. You'd be pretty high armor. You'd be pretty decent in fighting and stuff like that. Um, the question is, if you're going to take fighter, are you thinking about swapping to the plate and shield combo? Which I doubt you are, but yeah, he has terrible bedside manner. Yeah, I imagine that's right because you have expertise in medicine. So I imagine he just like pulls out a knife and just stabs the person, and then they start screaming, and he's like, "Don't worry, you will be better at the end of this." um, but yeah, it's no plate and shield. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so, but you always want to check like what are we going for here? What are we trying to get done? Um, I imagine he's pretty blunt the way that you've kind of portrayed him. I could see that's the thing. I could see an argument for both. Um, on the one hand, you can go for the full like being good at combat and just focus on him being high insight and all that, and then also there's a little bit of a I don't know how much your party would enjoy having this kind of character, but if you get really good at so many skills, you get 3 additional expertises, and you become like a blind fighter and all that stuff. The party's gonna look at you and be like, "Man, like you can do so much," and you're just like, "Yes, of course I can," but that's just the way things are, and like you keep moving forward from there. Um, but yeah, it looks like. Uh, oh, turn off the pause. It what's the weapon you'd be using again? Katana be the monk weapon. Is the katana a isn't the katana a long sword? Or I apologize, I have not checked it in a while, but I think there's a rule that says katanas are basically long swords. Check. Um, yeah, katana is a long sword. So, hmm. But you'd still use your. Would you still use your dex? No, you'd have to use your. You would use your. Oh yeah, it's a monk. Yeah, okay, so it would be a monk weapon, so you're good. But you could do that with anything then. Yeah. So yeah, you'd be good then. You'd be good the other way too. Are you concerned at all about your DPS? Because if you go into the ranger and rogue, you will be able to do that extra with hunter's mark and sneak attack. Let's say you just do 1 level in each, which I can tell you're yeah, just wear a Deadpool mask exactly. Yeah, but with ranger and that, you would get an extra like 2d6 damage on top of the d8/d10 plus 4. Um, and then da, 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 da. See, when you say as part of your argument that that Hunter's Mark requires a bonus action, as true as that is, I think you can. Can you hold Hunter's Mark? I'm pretty sure it holds, and it's the start of the fight that you would lose out on your extra monk attacks, right? Oh yeah, yeah. You're concerned about getting the blind fight because that makes sense. Blind fight is pretty. Yeah. Let's see, it's only for weapon attacks, so it doesn't stack with flurry of blows. Oh, that's true. And you're only gonna have the one weapon attack. Let's see. Math wise, if you had an ASI to put into Dex, that would be one extra point of damage on every attack. So, let's say a fight is 3 rounds average. It's really like more, it depends, but like let's say it's 3 rounds average. So we're looking at 3 damage um, per attack. So you'd be at 3 6. So we'd be at total of, let's say it's one and then two martial attacks. So like 3 6 9 because 3 rounds, 1 point each. So 9 damage. Let's say half of those hit. I'm just trying to give like generic numbers. So that would be about 4.5 damage. Um, if you use Hunter's Mark, you're looking at an extra d6 which averages out to 3. So 3 6 9, and then plus. So total of 3 6 9. So it looks like the numbers are pretty much the same. Just you have higher swing potential, um, because your flurry of blows isn't going to get the extra points. I don't know. You're concerned about blind fighting, but is there a magic item that you could grab that kind of like absorbs that blow? Or like, have you been talking with your DM about this? Because like, if you're can now use Hands of Harm without using a key point. Oh, that's cool. Um, like, how much have you talked with your DM about this? Because their understanding of what's going on. Like these sound like you might have you're giving me concerns of like I want to be there for the party and useful and viable in case of anything weird or bad happening, like the lights are out. Because I'm guessing you as a because like you said as a human you don't have it. Like, is your DM willing to sell you a magic item so you can get around this, or are you more concerned about like just making sure you have blind fighting and all that? Because blind fighting, remember, is still not the best. Because I think it's blind fight. What does it mitigate? Because it doesn't mitigate everything. It doesn't give you just straight vision, right? Uh, Fighting styles. It would be under fighting styles. Tasha's. It does, but you have to pick the square, don't you? The fighter optional class feature. You have blind fight for 10 feet. Oh, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Okay. Um, Moreover, you can see an invisible creature within that range unless the creature successfully hides from you. Interesting. See anything that isn't behind total cover is pretty good. 22 passive perception is nice. That gives you the ear. That really hits home on the like I can see anything. Um, yeah, that's pretty good. Most people are gonna try to. Most who are trying to mess with you that way will have a problem. The invisibility really gunks things up too. Because that's not when in darkness you can see an invisible creature. That's you can always see an invisible creature unless they've hid from you, within 10 feet. With a 22 base perception, I well, I don't know. I think the real thing is the question of what do you want your character to be doing? Like what's the fantasy for this guy? Because damage is fun, and but so are skills, and like there's a lot of utility in what you're trying to get out of the second method, which is like blind fighting and all that stuff, giving you the ability to kind of like you never lose out on your weaknesses as a result, which is useful. Um, yeah, that's good. Observant to get to 27. That here's a question. With your DM, how so there's a concept that happens is the DM is trying to challenge you and have like a good time with everybody and stuff like that. And there is this not quite like problem, but there's this thing of like if you get your passive perception to 27, that means the only thing he can send at you that would be invisible and be able to stab you would have to be something that's like almost custom built only to mess with you. And the real question with that is like um, the numbers are funny when they're huge, but the real question is like, what's the um, are you will you feel as good if the DM just stops sending invisible foes at you? Like if your passive perception is so high that the DM just says like, I'm not going to send any more of these guys because they can't possibly not be seen by you within the 10 feet, and therefore this is a problem. Like that for me sometimes that feels kind of frustrating because I build and I do this thing and I get a really cool thing and then yeah, yeah, I can see that focusing on skills for 11 levels. If the character's main focus is to just be a prodigy, I'd say go for the blind fighting and all the skill expertises. If that's his like life goal sort of thing, because that's very like deeply in character for him. Um, and combat might be secondary to him. Like the question is, how important does he feel combat is in the real world, or is he just like I need to master everything as much as I can? And then I didn't see anything from. Hold on. We've been talking about this a bit, and I want to make sure I get back to uh, Phalyre. Phalyre, I still only see. What do you think of the subclass? Which I think it's pretty solid, but I think there's a question about what you're doing with the creation of Hunter's Mark, and then the later stuff with being such a high stealth based character. Because it seems like you would, like I said, cast a spell, cast a concentration spell, hide so nobody can find you, and then let the concentration spell wreak havoc while you like maybe buff your party from the back lines or something like that. And at that point, Hunter's Mark seems a little lost in the details as to why I would be using it. But I also just want to like make sure to check in with you on what's going on with that. Let's see, haven't played with this DM yet, so not sure what you should focus on. Guess we'll wait till next level debut is tomorrow, so we shall see. Yeah, I guess that, without knowing about the DM's style and the preferences and all that, because you don't want to, like the game is there to have fun, and so you want your build to be fun for everyone. So like it totally makes sense that you want to be like this skilled prodigy character, and like he works towards that, and that's his like life. It's really cool. Um, but that there's that thing of like, well, what works best with the team, and how do we like fix with that? So yeah, waiting, I think is a fine choice. Especially if you haven't if you're just like prepping for build and you're not like if you don't need this done by X date, then you just prep and kind of keep working forward. It should work out really well there. Super cool though. I hope everything works out really great. I hope you have a wonderful game. Where's a Jackal Mask? Kind of like Anubis. Should be fun. Ooh, that's cool. Is it is the Jackal Mask kind of like a Plague Doctor's mask? Like, is it a kind of mix with that also, or is it more of a stunted Jackal Mask? Because like Anubis, the head the face goes out a bit. You could definitely do a whole like this is like a Plague Doctor but not quite mask thing. But also, I don't know what you're going for, and I know Plague Doctors have that really. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the Mercy theme. Very cool. Um, I know that, and I know that Plague Doctors have that unfortunate like not all plague doctors were great. In fact, most weren't. Like there, there's always some people in any field that like are really good at their job and doing what they're doing. But like sometimes like an entire industry is just like, no, we can't trust that. Yeah, Hands of Healing ends up being like some of the dopest stuff ever. Oh boy. Anyway, a little bit back to World Anvil. We were on Garland. He was big. Where are you, Garland? I went totally off topic for a bit. Yeah, once you reach 11th level, it can turn both of your familiar blows into Hands of Healing without spending key point. Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good way to go. Oh, okay, I remember Garalong. Um, um, Weak, smaller build. What else was Garalong? Very choosy. No, he's very sneezy. Let's say, and he's a generic NPC. Or I guess neutral party. Yeah, let's just do that. Then that as much. Pardon me. So, oh, let's see. So with Monk, if you multiclass a Moon Druid into Monk, you get unarmored defense and have 20 Wisdom. Does unarmored defense work with your wild shape since you keep your Wisdom, Intellect, and Charisma? I don't know. I'm just gonna Google that. Does Druid get unarmored defense of what's it called? Monk when wild shaped? Yeah, people ask these questions all the time. Let's see. Your AC will be the better of the two, according to PHB page 67. Statistics are replaced by the statistics of the beast, but you retain your alignment, personality, and intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You also retain all of your skill and saving throw proficiencies, in addition to gaining those of the creature. So, then there's one last bullet which says you retain the benefit of any features from your class, race, or other source and can use them if the new form is physically capable of doing so. So yeah, you're good. Or at least you're probably good, you know? Can't just say like, "Oh yeah, no prob, bro. You're fine." But yeah, well that's because you're getting to use your extra stuff. I think there's a thing about like being in wild shape and raging. Oh, did I never turn on the music? Ah, I forgot to turn on the music. I just wasn't thinking. Um, Sarvin, Damascus. Yeah, Bear Barbarian, Moon Druid. It's worse if you play as a Satyr, Magic Defense Bear. Because you can, yeah, it's awful. Um, Sarvin is Water Ganassi, Warlock of the. Yeah, I remember Sarvin. Or Sarvin. What's that thing? Shy. Um, Assuming. I put like a man. Full of ideas. Protagonist for him. He doesn't have any links to do right now. Oh. So what's the campaign about that you're going into? It sounds, if there's a doctor, that means it's probably a little more. I'm guessing and spitballing here, but I'm guessing you're a bit more further past the, further past fantasy into like possibly a little bit of steampunk or something like that. Just that era where enough schools have been built that there are doctors instead of just like I'm a wizard sort of style. Let's see. I need to add in an article. Aberdeen. There we go. Aberdeen as a settlement. This is a great innovation of technology, home of the lawbringers. lately have seen the launch. Public, private. Happens when I take these characters. Ganassi kernel is weird. I have a Ganassi kernel note, but I suppose. Check what's going on with Varsh. Oh, I can write it in. Okay. Got it. Save these. Save. Save. Oh. Lots of setting up stuff. How do I pull an article? I guess it's like to arrange, copy article, edit article, group article. There has to be a way to move the article. Yeah, hold a direct place in category. Okay. So I want all those characters. Seize list. Nice. Okay. And what happened to my categories? They're all missing for some reason. There we are. Okay, cool. Is it Arkansas? No. Oh, okay, I remember where Arkansas was at. Is it Vancouver Cross? Right. Bugbear is a species, so it's going to go in. Weird. I went in species, right? Really quickly, let's find out. Did Bugbear not go in here? Hold on. Bugbear is in species. Okay, cool, cool. Load a bunch of uncategorized guys. Aberdeen. Yes, of course, Callum. Carlos. I remember vaguely. Garelon. Generic. Yeah, okay. Generic is in Aberdeen. It's Jorl. It's Abrams Zacharias. Right, okay. That's the thing about names is like when I create a name, I'm just like, I don't have enough information. Doot, 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 doot. Lungeon Hubert. Yates IJ. Jorl Julia Haverford. Ara. Taylor Sarvin Tom. Marshmark Rock. Let's see. Okay, cool. And then these are all. I know these guys go. It's in Lands of the Center City, which is in Ackerman. Fennec Trade League specifically. Popcorn. Supporting cast. JJK. Let's make sure I click names. That's that way. And then, yeah. Okay. Good. Good. But uncategorized. Bernice, Buttercup, Carlos. I trade with cap rates. There is full search. Bernice. This is mostly just gonna be this for the rest of the time. I put lady in front. Of course, I would make such a. Mark up Carlos Unix. And then Lar. Whoa. Both. Corin is the Medic Trade League. Gardenia Darabond. Darabonds are... Yeah, the Volcathos. Okay. That goes in Center City. House again. House Darabond. I don't have Darabond set yet, so House Darabond. So where should have just appeared right here. House Darabond search. Got it. Don't know why I did that. House Commons. Center City, Noble Houses. E G H I J L R it's T U P L M N O G H T U V W R O Trade League. Drop. Drop. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Sarvin. No. Room. Tim Hamilton. Octavia. Del de la Vega. Luna. Okay, very cool, very cool. Who's this? Why are you here? Oh, he's in Aberdeen. Oh, very nice. Oh, just gonna take a bit. This is the part where I'm not super great because I just write. I'm much better at building a character in the moment, but the problem is I'm not great at recording it. So it's like, okay, I built this character. Uh-oh. But let's see. There's important people. This is all done. Back to Aberdeen. Check out the supporting cast. Most everyone. Um, there's more I could do. I still gotta get Andronor in. Smart. Right. Intelligent. Patient. Us. Oh, just take a moment. Hmm. Oh. Okay. Quetzal, Zenrish, Uthbart. Yara, Thedris, Thedras. Quetzal, Zenrish. Uthbart. Thedras. And copy the image. That's fine. Whew, let's see. I think I'll just do the locations, and I think that'll be the end of it. We'll do a bit more of something, but I'm not sure what. We'll just hang out a bit. She is a tall, calm, servile in a way. I'm not sure. We'll put servile in that. Pom 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 pom. Laid back. Fun-loving. Ecstatic. This. Occasional. Some work focused. Worker. DOS. Graceful. Dancing. Unlike. Oh, she's not an adversary. Go. And that's it on them. All right, let's stop here. We did a pretty good. We did pretty good. Like hung out, talked to things like that. I hope everyone out there is having a great time. Once again, there's a Discord and there's a Discord you can join, and I've got, of course, the streaming setup. I've got YouTube for videos, things like that. And yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. I know I certainly did. It was fun talking about class options and looking into a class that is not quite been released yet. Thank you very much, absolutely, to, where was the name? Phaelier04. I think it's a really awesome start. Very cool. Like I said, that one thing about the Hunter's Mark plus stealth, I kind of wonder why Hunter's Mark, because it seems like it's something that really quickly gets lost in why would I be using that when I have better, not necessarily better spells, but like I have higher level spells that are more powerful that can do other things instead of Hunter's Mark, just due to the restriction of concentration. I'm not sure if Hunter's Mark eventually becomes a non-concentration thing, but in fact, let me check that. Maybe that's why Hunter's Mark, because I haven't gotten an answer quite yet. I do like trying to figure things out as I think about them. The 8 hours, you maintain your concentration. Yeah, for up to 24 hours. This is it needs concentration the whole time, which is a little like why. I think it's cool. I still think it's a really cool idea, and some interesting stuff can be had with it. Anyway, I hope you have a great one, everyone out there. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.